Hello. So the chapter this week was called From Conquest to Empire, and the movie that I watched was I, the Worst of All, which was about a woman who joined a nunnery. And the chapter does cover her specifically in a part. The chapter mentions San Juana in the Catholic Church portion of the chapter, and it addresses a lot of things that did happen in the movie, how she joined a nunnery to avoid getting married, her intelligence, her literature, her poetry. And it does mention how she died of the plague at her nunnery. And it also shows the power conflicts between her and the Catholic Church shortly before she died. Um, she was writing very um, she started writing like anti-Catholic Church things in her poetry, and they did not really like that. So, yeah, but I think she still died while being in the nunnery, so they didn't kick her out. But for the chapter, it addresses a lot of the Spanish conquesting in the New World. It mentions Columbus and a lot of myths surrounding Columbus, since he's probably one of the more famous ones. And it talks about how a lot of the people who were coming to the New World were given grants by um, monarchs in Europe to spread the word of God and to also bring back riches to Europe. So yeah, um, basically like Columbus was one of the big ones. There was another guy who killed all the Aztecs. It took him 2 years to do that, and he stole like 600 men and a bunch of horses and some ships from the Spanish monarchs, and he killed the Aztecs, which was pretty crazy. Um, there was another guy who killed out the Incas. So they were just conquesting anybody who came in their way who wasn't working with them. But what I thought was interesting is that when the man conquered the Aztecs, a lot of other indigenous people fought with him because the Aztecs were also killing a lot of people. So he had like thousands of indigenous people on his side to fight the Aztecs, and they won. But the main goal was to find riches. They even said, we are here to serve God, but also to get rich." But the biggest thing that killed out the natives was diseases. That's, yeah, pretty much, it was like 20% to almost 100% of specific indigenous groups were killed because of diseases that the Spanish brought over. And then those who weren't killed became laborers, and they became like laborers to the church basically, or they were forced in the rural areas and they were forced to learn Spanish. And they eventually started viewing the Spanish as their protectors because they were in charge now and they could not change that. So, yes. And this chapter also goes over how women were also a big help during the conquesting. They took care of the men who were sick, they took care of the things around the house, and they even fought alongside the men when given the opportunity. So, yeah. And it was the wealth that they found there was mostly silver and gold. So they did find a way around South America to Asia, but they decided that the wealth that they were finding in the New World was more valuable than they would have ever traded for in Asia. So that's why the Spanish decided to just stay in the New World and conquest everything and take everything. So, yeah, that was the chapter and that was the movie review.